Hello, True Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Today we have Eric Thorton back on the show. He is a spiritual and energetic healer, and what many of us refer to as a master. He was born with all of his gifts on and was able to commune with angels and guides since he was a child. You'll definitely want to go back and listen to our first episode with him if you haven't already, because his life story is a trip. Let me tell you. Now, I've personally worked with him, as has my husband and my friends, and we've all had really great experiences. So I wanted to make sure that he was the real deal, and he certainly is. You're going to love today's show. He teaches about more about energy medicine, understanding our aura or energy field, which is a part of our body that is scientifically proven. And illness can occur in the aura field. And he teaches also how to clear your energy, clear your aura field. We get into some really neat discussions, some really neat rabbit holes that we go down today. Now, I want to apologize for the slight audio issue that I have in this episode. After I had set up our lapel mics, I was using a new system, and it turns out that my lapel mic popped out. I didn't realize it, and so my voice is actually picked up by his mic. So I did a lot of editing post-production to make it sound as good as possible. It's totally doable. You can definitely hear and understand us. I just sound like I'm farther away from the mic than he is, and he sounds great. And since he does most of the talking, you'll enjoy today's show, and you'll forgive me for the slight off in audio. But all other episodes are sounding much better because we have figured out what the problem was, and it won't happen again. Fingers crossed, right? knock on wood. I want to tell you that today's episode, if we had a sponsor, today's episode would be brought to you by Energy Bits. My son woke me up at 4 a.m, as toddlers will sometimes do. He was wide awake, and therefore I had to be wide awake. And since my body would rather have slept for 4 more hours, I wouldn't be here right now and be so perky if it wasn't for Energy Bits this morning. There's no stimulants in them. There's no caffeine in them. It is just pure algae, and it actually tastes really good to me. But if you don't like the flavor, there's easy ways to mask the flavor. Today I decided to take about a heaping tablespoon of the Energy Bits and put them in the Vitamix with 1 drop of peppermint essential oil and about 16 ounces of water. I blended it for about a minute until it had fully dissolved on high, and then I drank it. And within about 5 minutes, I felt it kick in, and I was like, wow, this is better than coffee. I don't drink coffee anymore. I do occasionally have black or green tea, but this was better than tea, better than coffee. I feel really good, and it's because so many nutrients bring oxygen to the cells, perk our body up, support the adrenals, really readily available protein. I could go on and on about Energy Bits. You can go to learntruehealth.com and search the term algae, chlorella, or Energy Bits, and listen to those episodes. We've had about 4 or 5 episodes specifically about algae and their benefits and why I choose the brand Energy Bits over other brands that I've tried. Now, we get a great discount, 20% off for all the listeners. So go to energybits.com, use the coupon code LTH, and try a bag of Energy Bits for yourself. Take about 30 of their little, my son calls them green crackers, but they're little tablets, and you chew them, or you can put them in a smoothie, or put them in some water in a blender like I did, or you can put them in your trail mix like my son loves, and my son actually loves these, and it is wonderful, wonderful energy in the morning, perks you right up, and I did not need a coffee this morning. So there you go. So this episode is brought to you by wonderful Energy Bits. Go to energybits.com, use coupon code LTH, and just try to feel as great as I do after getting half the amount of sleep you thought you'd get using their very high quality spirulina, energybits.com. Awesome. All right. Enjoy today's episode. Please come join the Facebook group because next episode, Kristen Bowen is back on the show answering all of our questions about magnesium and the magnesium soak. And she is giving away some awesome stuff. She's doing 3 big giveaways in the Facebook group, so you'll want to be in there to participate, and that'll be the next episode I publish. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy today's interview. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is I am so thrilled to be back here with you, Eric. This is we're here with Eric Thornton in his wonderful healing studio in Cottage Lake, Washington.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this is our 5th interview together?
I think so.
Yeah, it's been wonderful having you on the show. I keep getting amazing feedback from listeners saying that they love learning from you.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and today we're going to dive into a topic that I think is very fascinating. And people who haven't explored this level of spirituality, they're in for definitely a ride. Just to learn about the aura and our energy field and how we can clear our energy field and how that has an impact on our physical, emotional, and mental health.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating. Our fields it's one of the most amazing things I get to watch. They're absolutely phenomenal. How far out they reach, what they do, how they're in a moment's notice they change.
And I always thought aura fields were static.
Static, yeah.
And you go for I've gone to psychic fairs or something where they're taking pictures of your aura field. It's like, ooh, your aura field's blue.
Right.
That's it. You have a blue aura.
Right. Well, if you go away from that picture, from getting the picture taken, and you go eat something, come back, change your outfit so that they don't know it's you, and take a picture again, it's now different.
Because you
ate.
Because you ate?
Yep.
So food affects your aura?
Everything affects your aura. Your aura is a reflection of every cell's energy and the soul's energy.
Is that how some people can read an aura and then actually predict or tell someone what's going on inside their body?
Exactly. Very much so. Only when I'm working on someone and I put my hand in their aura field, you can feel all sorts of hot, cold, disturbing, joyous, all fine, just by running your hand down the energy field. You can get a million different feelings just running your hand from head to toe about a foot above somebody. And you can tell it reflects predatory energies, it reflects non-predatory energies, it reflects joy, it reflects everything you can imagine is in that aura field. And when if you take a snapshot of the aura field, so to speak, like the Krakian photography? I think that's what they call it. And it looks steady right at that moment because you have a static picture. But if they could film the aura field, that would be something interesting. At least part of it, because it changes so dramatically. So, your hormones can change in a 17th of a second. Changes your aura field from happy to angry. And though the person may go, oh, you have a lot of anger. Where a few minutes before it was like, oh, you have nothing but joy. So
for those who don't know, never heard of the aura field or know very little about it, can you explain what it is, why we have it? Does everything have an aura field? Everything that is reproducing,
there's 2 different types of aura fields. There's an aura field that is where we're in a physical body of some sort, trees, bacteria, mushrooms, humans, etc., that's reproducing cells, has a very dynamic aura field. A rock has cellular energy, or a crystal has cellular energy, and it's very static. Now, I have to quantify that a little bit with crystals, because crystals, anything that's clear or semi-clear, takes in energy from everything else. And a crystal will take the energy, sound or light or other, and bend it and modify it. So people who feel energy or see energy limited will feel crystals are alive because it's swirling the energy just like a chakra. And by bending the energy, it's like It's like a doctor taking, or science taking a mineral and making a medicine out of it. By bending or modifying the energy, you can heal or you can kill. And the same thing might damage someone, where someone else's aura field, it'll help them. So crystals are a very powerful tool, but if they're not working, it's because it's not in sync with your aura field. If it is working, then it's in sync, and then it gets in there and slightly takes your energy and modifies it and feeds it back to you, kind of like an immunization, kind of like that. You're giving your own, immunization's not getting your own energy, but it's inoculating you. Your own energy is inoculating you. So because it's taking it, modifying it, your brain goes, oh, I got to do something with that. But it's your own energy, but it's slightly modified. So the brain goes and your immune system will come up because of that. This is a slight modification. But if you take crystals to modify the aura field, you put two together. What are they doing to each other? How are they feeding that energy? How are they taking the energy that's already modified slightly, bringing it to another crystal, modifying it again, shove it back to the other crystal, modifying it again, shove it back to the other crystal at the speed of light. And so people can get very ill if the crystals aren't tuned. That's what they call it. That's why we tune crystals, even in the same room.
I've had that experience, actually.
Yeah.
I had a woman on the show, I feel like sometime in the last year, where she talked about using crystals in your environment to aid you on your health journey.
Very much so.
And when I was a teenager, I was in Puerto Vallarta walking around alone, and I'd been to Puerto Vallarta a lot. I knew the streets. I was very familiar with the territory. I bought a crystal necklace, quartz crystal necklace, immediately put it on, because at the time I didn't know about, cleaning crystals or, cleaning them.
Right.
And I immediately become disoriented, lost. I walked down the street. I was accosted by a man. I was afraid for my life.
I'm so sorry.
And it was contrast. It was like everything was good. I put on the crystal and everything was like chaotic and crazy. I took it off because I started to go, something, like I was feeling like something's wrong here, and I took the necklace off and I immediately knew where I was and I was safe.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, something's up with this. But I've had that before, where if I buy a crystal or receive one and it's not tuned, or it's very uncomfortable to be with it.
Well, most people who are sensitive, who are to those frequencies, so because some people aren't as sensitive to the frequencies, even though it's helping them, but some people are consciously aware of those frequencies. I'm very aware of those frequencies. So I walk into a gem store. It feels like my brain is twisting and going into a fisheye. Everything looks like I'm looking through a fisheye lens, and I start to get sick. It messes up my inner ear because I got all these diverging crystals modifying the energy back and forth to each other, and there's thousands of them. And I just kind of go, I lose it. I just have to walk out.
That's funny, because you see all those like new age stores, right? They'll have, the herbs and the teas and the crystals.
Right.
But real people who are sensitives, that's sort of like their wheelhouse. They walk in and would feel very uncomfortable if the crystals are not attuned.
Attuned to them,
affecting the aura in a distorted, turbulent way.
Well, it's very much so, and it's in energy medicine of all sorts. You mentioned herbal medicine, also homeopathic medicine. It's all energy. So you put a crystal around them, it can totally wipe those empty. It can put a vibration that just empties all your homeopaths and empties the effectiveness of your herbs. Or it can take it and combine them and create something modified that can be really effective or can be very bad. Because just in the same room.
Be very intentional.
Very.
When using crystals.
Very much so.
So, getting back to understanding the aura.
Okay.
For those who don't know what an aura is, it's an energy field around the body, and like you said, that animals and plants also have an aura, and people can learn to see them. I'd love to talk a bit about that later.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I want to say like 15 years ago. I was with my friend in Toronto, and we went to a workshop at I guess, downtown Toronto was having this big psychic fair, but the day before it started, they had this workshop on auras.
Mm-hmm.
And the man brought out these dowsing rods.
Sure.
So basically, take two metal hangers and straighten them out and then bend them so you're holding them at 90-degree angles. And he had someone stand in the middle of the stage with their back to him, and he walked towards the person. And when he got within about 4 feet of that person, the dowsing rods moved together. And he didn't move them; he was just holding them gently, and they moved together. And then he said, okay, now I want you to expand your awareness out 20 feet. I really just want you to focus on expanding your awareness, your whole energy field out 20 feet. And he didn't teach the person how, he just said expand your awareness, right? Where your attention goes, your energy flows.
Right.
And so then he walked all the way back to the other side of the stage and proceeded to slowly walk towards the person. And sure enough, about 20 feet, when he reached the 20-foot area, the dowsing rods just flipped forward or flipped together. And he explained that you could walk around your house with these rods. Am I saying it right? Dowsing rods?
Yes, that's correct. I have many different kinds.
Oh, cool. So and I got super into it because it's really exciting. You could walk around your house, and anytime you walk, if there's a pipe of moving water below you, so like in the floor below you,
or non-moving.
Or non-moving, okay. Or if there's like you're going past an electrical wire that's in the floor below you or above you. Basically, if you go past a energy field, because water creates an energy field and electricity creates an energy field, so magnetic field, that the dowsing rods would move.
Yeah, those are really strong because they're movement. It's more subtle when it's not moving.
Okay.
So like you take the dowsing rod and you want to find a lost wedding ring in the garden. And it's in the dirt. And it'll point right at it. And then you get the other kind of dowsing rod. It'll tell you how deep it is.
Really?
Yeah, you can do. Because everything, if there's a variation of energy, a dowsing rod can pick it up. And that's part of auras.
So our septic tank was broken, and the guy came out to fix it, but he didn't know where the tank was because it was buried. He had to dig to get to it, and he whipped out his dowsing rods. And I'm thinking, well, wait a sec. I thought dowsing rods were just for, hippies to practice aura work with. And he's like, are you kidding me? This is what they were invented. They were invented to find wells and to find springs and to underground water, basically. People use them to find water.
I have found many wells for people.
That's so cool. But the fact that that's energy and you have an aura. So a great homework for listeners at home, go make yourself some dowsing rods. You can look it up online and practice with your family, and you'll be able to, they'll move in your hand. They will move when you walk close to and enter one of your family members' aura fields. And this is showing you that we have this robust energy field around us, and it is as real as our physical body.
Well, the interesting thing about aura fields is there's different names for the different layers of the aura field, but the one you're talking about, we dug up the word earlier, the guides call it the homeostasic level. And that can reach out for miles and miles. And it's literally picking up on the subtle differences in everything around you. So it is the first part of your immune system. And people look at me when I say that and they go, what? Like, well, think about it. If you're out there 5 miles, and we're all intermingling, it's picking up on this person's energy and this person's energy and this person's energy. Well, let's say this person has a contagious cancer. It's picking up on that. And your defense system goes to work. And it starts mounting the defense. So if you walk by that person, they're breathing out and you're breathing in at the same time. You're breathing in some of their cells. And it already has your immune system going to make it so you don't get that cancer. It's phenomenal. The only time that the homeostasic doesn't work for that is if you're holding like a shopping cart. It's the dirtiest thing there is a shopping cart. It's dirtier than toilets. And you touch the shopping cart and you immediately touch your face. The homeostatic can't mount that defense because you walk in, grab the cart. It hasn't had the time to mount the defense yet. But if it's someone out there ways where you got some time for your immune system to work, it'll do it. And but it's also picking up and notifying the this part of it, the homeostatic, notifies the digestive brain. The digestive brain they've done huge studies in Europe with it. It shows brain material from the tip of your tongue all the way out the back door. And that brain does not have sight or sound. It only works through feeling. And it is, I don't know what the statistics are, but they haven't fully studied it. But I've watched it, and it's 20 times faster than your brainstem. It tells the amygdala. The amygdala tells the brainstem fight or flight in 30 millionths of a second, and that's picking up through the digestive brain. It's the one that can tell if you have bad intention or not. If someone makes the hair go up on the back of your neck when you don't even see anybody. This is what's reaching out in the aura field, the homeostatic level. And it is what gives us the early warning on everything.
So when we have a gut feeling about someone,
pay attention. It's the homeostatic.
That is the part, the last layer of your aura field.
Correct.
That reaches out and can reach out for miles.
Yep.
And is feeling the intentions of people.
Yes.
Feeling what's going on with disease or illness in the environment.
Everything. It's feeling an earthquake before it happens. It's feeling, it's bringing your intuition in every way. It tells the amygdala what to do. And the amygdala works in 30 millionths of a second. And then it tells your brainstem what to do. But this is prior to that. And this is actually one of the features that masters use within themselves. Because if you think, 30 millionths of a second, that frequency, and you learn to use the aura field, well, you can go as fast as 200th of a second. What's in the frequencies between 30 millionths on the average person and 200 millionths of a second? What's in that? That's the information that masters read. That's the information that guides pick up on and angels pick up on. That's where they exist. And masters are so sensitive that they've learned to be in that space and pick up on all of this. Now, like yourself, everyone does this. You're sensitive, so you pick up on things that give you the intuition, and it's correct. It's going through the digestive brain. It's coming in, and it's formulating for you. It's formulating questions for you to ask your interviewees. The ones you're interviewing.
Interviewees, yeah.
Is it interviewees?
You're the interviewee.
Okay, good. I got that right. Dyslexia, But it's literally that part of the brain is formulating the question from what it's picking up from the aura field, from the homeostatic. It runs all the way out for miles and miles and miles, and you can project it out like you were talking about with the guy with the dowsing rod, because most people walk around with it closed in really tight. And when you get flow, it's out there where it needs to be. And that's how we manifest. That's how we do all of these things, get this information. It's through that layer of the homeostatic, which is called the homeostatic, which is so dynamic part of our aura field. And it's fascinating to watch when you're out walking, whether people are closed in like that person on the stage, or whether they're open and how far they're open. And you can tell people that you'd like or you wouldn't like just by the homeostatic field. Because if you're a person that loves flow, you're going to be around someone that their aura field's held in tight, the homeostatic level. They don't have any flow. So you're not going to be attracted to them. Your pheromones aren't going to say, hey, you need to talk to that person. It's not going to happen. Because they're not in the same ballpark, so to speak, or in the same frequencies that you are. So it also is what makes people look at me with a strange look in their eye when they walk by. They feel something, they're not familiar with it, and so they turn and look, and they kind of like, what's that? because it's so different than their aura field. Because I have a lot of flow and I'm out there a long ways, it's so different. It causes them fear. And the change is fear, and that's what not change is fear, but it causes fear. And so it's when you watch that, when you get the privilege of watching these dynamic colors and frequencies and shapes and information that's out, it's just it's beautiful to watch. And I talked about this a little before in a previous interview, where you go to a movie with me, it's kind of fun to watch, kind of fun to listen to me if I talk about it, because I see everything before it happens. It's in the homeostatic. Everybody's stuff is coming through that movie screen and the sound, all of their aura fields, and what's coming up next. And if there's whatever is on the stage if people are mad at each other when the movie's being made, that's all there. If they're happy with it, if they're getting along, if there are all these different things, dynamics come out of the film, including the sensations of who wrote the script. So it's fascinating too. The aura field is not only does it protect us, but it also creates frequencies that defend us.
How so? How so does the frequency defend us? Well, you said the immune system.
Right.
How else? And if you said it picks up on people's intentions, how else does it defend us?
It defends us. We have to go back to that frequency notion that like energy comes together. So yin and yang are the opposites of the same energy. So they do come together. But there's also if like your energy field and your history, your aura field will reflect your history. So let's say you have really wonderful parents. Well, you're around someone that had really rotten parents and they haven't done any work. They haven't grown from it. Your aura fields are opposites. So they don't come together. You're less likely to take energy on from somebody that's opposite versus someone you empathize with. Mm-hmm. If you empathize with, oh yeah, I've been there, I've done that, whoop, your energy is the same. Like energy comes together. Well, with it comes their version of that same energy. It may have predatory energy with it. It may have thought forms with it. It may have all these things that trigger because you maybe had wonderful parents and they didn't, but it starts triggering in you. No, I mean, if they had wonderful parents too, but it starts triggering in you their issues. Same, you both had maybe wonderful parents, but you had this set of issues and they had this set of issues, issue A versus issue C. Well, it comes together because you both had wonderful parents, but then, and so you can commiserate, so to speak, or co-enjoy, but then you're going to come up against the differences. And then you might pick up their parents' thought forms that were different than your parents' thought forms. And this can be beneficial because it can make you a better parent, or it can be confusing. Because it's like, no, my parents did it this way, and this is the way I thought I should want to do it, but I feel this opposite thing, and it can confuse.
And this is all on the unconscious level?
Totally, subconscious. And it has to do with it triggers all your pheromones, it triggers all your hormones, and it's a constant adjustment. The aura field is fascinating. Everything you do affects the aura field, and it's a dynamic tool that the body and the soul each have part of. The body has the molecular aura field. It is an animal. It is a molecular cell-producing animal, and it has this. Anything that's reproducing cells has this dynamic aura field. Or anything that's not reproducing cells has a stagnant aura field. Like a rock. And like we mentioned earlier, crystals, but they absorb. That's why, little side note, I don't ever recommend a pendulum that's clear or light can come through. because it picks up and it bends that light and it influences it. So I always recommend a solid stone or a piece of metal for a pendulum or a dowsing rod. It needs to be solid so it doesn't get affected by all this stuff. So anyway, so you have these, where was I? I digressed.
Humans have a molecular, because we're animals,
yes.
two kinds of aura. So we
Right.
have a molecular, which reminds me of quantum physics.
Yeah.
A particle can both be a wave and a particle.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right?
And so it's, when you take that notion and you put it to practical application, that rock, because it's stagnant aura field, isn't going to be affected by intention, the same intention. That's someone who has a dynamic, some being that has a dynamic aura field. The rock's going to sit there. You can wish it death, and it just sits there. It's absorbing it, but it's like an Apple computer. Their hard drive system will take things in, it just sits there. So it's not as affected by the virus. The rock takes it in, it just sits there. So it's not affected by it. And let me tell you, demons hate being put into rocks. They really hate that. But if they're really stubborn, works great. But it's like, but the dynamic aura field, everything you do affects it because it's giving you information for safety, for immune system, for social behaviors. It's just everything. So we have the body's part, which is, it's not like a rock. It is still dynamic, but it is, it's different than the soul's part. The soul's part is what reaches out in a very different information than the body's part. And the chakras are where the soul and the body's auras come together. When they're in sync, you have a very strong chakra. When they're out of sync, the chakra gets weak. And if it's out of sync long enough, you get illness in the organs that are affected by that chakra. And it can be very subtle. In fact, those subtle ones are the ones that create the cancer and create the illness because they're such a low frequency. Those subtle frequencies are very low. And they can create an environment where your body can't use its antioxidants correct. And then you develop disease. So in the electromagnetic field, which is part of the aura field, in the electromagnetic level of the aura field, it's a level that looks like the closest vision I can describe it. It looks like those wall light switches that light up. You know, a little switch where you turn on and off the lights, and at night they glow.
Yes.
Okay. So if each part of the electromagnetic aura field looks like one of those lights, and except there's one for every single atom in your body. It's not just the cells for the atom. Each one has a light switch. And when those light switches are all on, if you're looking at this like a topographical map, if all the light switches are on, the person's healthy. If some of them are off, those areas are not healthy. They're not absorbing and being part of the dynamic of health. And so that's one of the ways you can tell illness is you look at the electromagnetic field and you look at where those light switches are off at. They'll be over the liver, they'll be over the knee, they'll be over somewhere in the middle, and you may be developing cancer from a cell phone in a pocket, say. But that's not attached to anything specific except meat in your leg. Well, if you can switch those back to the on position, which is the negative ion, then the cancer will go away. Or the building of cancer will go away, so you don't develop the cancer. And this is one that we were talking earlier about electromagnetic fields. Well, it's the same thing, except that's generated by some power plant, whereas it's generated by our brain, the body's portion of it. Mm-hmm. And if you have the positive ions from an electromagnetic field being bombarded at you at an endless rate, it's going to switch those little light switches from the negative ion, which is health, to the positive ion, which is not health. And that's one of the ways electromagnetic fields can totally bombard somebody. And then, like we talked about it earlier, if a person has a possession, possessions are a positive ion, which is not health for the human body. And that's why when they come around us, we feel repulsed, and we don't know why. It's because it's like a wall of ill health coming at you. And your aura field goes, oh, if it's dramatic. I mean, if it's sudden. And the and it'll, as it moves closer and closer and closer in there, it affects that the electromagnetic field more and more and more and more. And that's why I offer people an exercise in helping to clear that, and which you're going to learn today, and so that if you do have a possession that walks in, it doesn't become yours. If it sits there for a long time, it's going to affect your energy field enough that it can break it down and come in. Where if you can remove it in the beginning, it's easy. Anybody can do it because it's not your energy in the beginning. You haven't melded with it. So we'll teach people how to clear their energy field. It's fairly simple. Awesome. And in fact, it's very simple. It's almost too simple. So we'll work with that a little later in the interview. But anyway, so the aura field, also the physical aura field, reflects every single cell of your body. And every organized cells of your body, like the liver or the kidneys or the intestines, those are, they're making an organ. So they're actually organized, I guess you would call it. There you go. That's good. Anyway. So anyway, and how is the liver affected differently than the kidneys? Well, look it up. What does the liver represent? Long-term, deep anger and frustration. What do kidneys? Current anger. They're affected by two different things. Two different frequencies, because they're different. And the aura field, you put your hand over a healthy liver, it's going to feel very different than if you put your hand over a healthy kidney or unhealthy. And that's one of the ways people, like with the different techniques of helping someone. What's that? Reiki. Mm-hmm. You're a Reiki master, right? Mm-hmm. You're feeling that. When your hand goes over the top of someone and you're feeling it, and the more sensitive you are, the more your radar is going to pick up. Like, someone who's doing Reiki, they're sensitive because they're doing Reiki, but they'll come over so let's say they'll go down and they'll go over a stomach, and they'll feel a sudden change. But they may not know why, because their gift picks up the stomach, there's something wrong, but they don't pick up on what it is that's affecting it. Where other people will come down, the same person, get to the stomach, and they'll feel something's wrong, and they'll get a vision, mm-hmm. or they'll get knowledge. It's because their sensors can pick up, say the one person who can pick up the change, maybe they can pick up their aura field, and their amygdala can pick it up in 40 millionths of a second. Where the one who can feel the change and then get a feeling inside their body, that may be 50 millionths of a second frequency. Or they may get a vision, that may be 80 millionths of a second. Or they may get all of them, and that may be 200 millionths of a second. They're picking up on these subtle frequencies. The information's there. And that's why the difference in practitioners. And they all learn different things within their abilities, and it's valid. But that's also why some people are mistaken. Not on purpose, but they have the ability to, let's say, feel that stomach, but they can't get it like I do and get more information. So they start employing a technique that says, okay, you feel this, and now you come in from this angle, and you come in from this angle, or something like that. And you start applying ego-based information. It's not innocent anymore, because you're applying a technique. And is the information valid? Possibly. But it can also be invalid, or not necessarily invalid, but incomplete, which makes it less useful. So it's not, like I said, it doesn't make it invalid, it just makes it less useful.
Well, what if someone feels like they have the gifts, mm-hmm. of sight or of knowledge, or the ability to, let's say, put their hand over someone's aura or in their aura, and receive information,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to develop that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you develop it without bringing ego in? How do you put ego aside and just be that vessel for the information?
Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot of people around to help with that. It is, very specifically, it is soul progression that opens up those gifts. If you're going and learning technique, that's not soul progression. Soul progression is when you come to a guy like me and you start seeing what is limiting the flow of the person's lifetime. If you can eliminate that, all of a sudden the flow speeds up. And gifts that they've used in the past lives, or gifts that are possibly there for them, start to be attainable again. Because they've gotten out those lower frequencies of pride and ego and human drama. And now their energy field can reach out farther. Literally, and start picking up on those subtle energies more and more and more. Mm-hmm. So with people that are gifted, that don't particularly know it, or they're limited by it, by doing their background work, I call it their psychology increases, their ability to process the information. They've sought out information.
And when you say information, it's the like the sixth sense.
The sixth sense.
The information correct. Being that we're receiving a vision or we're receiving intuition.
Right.
That we're receiving information and it's not sight or sound.
Right. And I mentor those people. Mm-hmm. And we go back and forth with emails and things like that, so I can so that we can, the guides like doing this for people because it helps them understand what is real versus what is egoic and imagination. There's a big difference. But unless there's a medicine woman or man around to help you discern the differences, these very subtle differences, you're going to confuse them. And and that's where most people get stuck. The guides aren't going to increase anyone's gift ability when it's in confusion, because it causes karma. And so the guides just go, well, okay, they'll work through that, and however they work through that, we'll be there to help them with the next level once they work through that. And it can be things from everything affects the aura field: past life, future life, the current life, in every way. And I'm sitting next to a fish tank. That's affecting my aura field. We can sit there and look this way and you can feel the fish swim. I can't. Anyway, because it's moving in my aura field and they have an aura field. Mm-hmm. And so it's in the matrix, it's called by the New Age, and it's there. And so you can, if you're tuned to that level, you can feel the fish swimming back and forth. So it's and that is why fish tanks are so calming for people. They don't know they're feeling it, but they're feeling this movement, very subtle movement back and forth, and it's very calming to the human ego to have an innocent movement with no opinion attached to it. It's very calming. So
in their aura field.
In the aura field. Where you have something that's dynamic in the aura field, it's very agitating. Or something opposite, like again, possession. 4-year-olds can really... Yes, can't wait to be a grandpa. Anyway, when it starts affecting my aura field too much, I can send them home. So that's the beauty of being a grandparent. So looking forward to it one day.
So this shirt once that said, "If I knew being a grandma was so much fun, I'd have had them first."
Yeah.
I'd had grandkids first.
There you go. Yeah. I like that.
There is a trainer of NLP. So my background is in neuro-linguistic programming.
I find that fascinating. Uh-huh.
It is. It's cool stuff.
Uh-huh.
But there's a trainer in NLP who is blind, mm-hmm. and he can point to the person with their hand up in the audience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it freaks out the audience because you'll have like 50 people in a room, mm-hmm. and he'll say, "Any questions?" And he's like, raise your hand if you have any questions. They laugh. They think it's a joke. Someone raises their hand and he goes, yes, you? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
How did he do that? Like, they know he's blind. They're like, are you lying? Are you not blind? And he says, as this is one thing we learn to become a trainer of NLP, we learn how to, and it's NLP trainers training, we learn how to put our aura expand our aura energy into the whole training room so that we can feel the intention of all the students. We can suss out which student's going to be the troublemaker. There's always one.
Always, and there's a clown.
You get a classroom. There's always going to be one troublemaker, especially when you're teaching them NLP, because it's so. It can challenge the ego, right? And so there's always some person that's going to try to disrupt the class. And these are all adults that paid thousands of dollars to be there to take an NLP class, and yet there's always one that wants to, I guess, see if they can shake or rattle the trainer, right? And see if they can overthrow the class in a way. And good NLP trainers will have already known exactly who they are, because you can feel it in the aura field. So as part of my training in NLP, we learn to put our aura out into the room, feel the students, and to the point where we can really feel which ones have questions, which ones are in confusion, which ones have totally got the lesson. Like, you can feel it.
Yeah.
It's part of being connected as a teacher to the class.
Well, the interesting thing with that is the teacher, as you've heard me say, I don't like to meditate or work in groups, because when you expand the energy like that, if your frequency is anywhere near someone else's in the room, you have the ability to give them your problems, and they have the ability to give you their problems. And so if you can see that, and you can be, what we want is our aura field to be glass, so that things that are not ours just pass right through it. And but most people aren't anywhere near that, and they end up getting polluted more when they do that. And it starts coming into their energy field, and they don't make the association with the class, because the energy they pick up from someone else it's just kind of stuck to them like glue on the surface. It hasn't gotten in yet. 2 or 3 weeks later, they may start feeling like crap, because that energy has slowly worked its way in.
Is that why the first year of college everyone gains 15 pounds?
Well, it doesn't help any, yeah. You're sharing.
Everyone's sharing.
Sharing that stress.
Sharing their problems on an energetic level.
Well, they've just changed their entire life. They moved from home to college, and they're like going, woohoo, oh my God, all at the same time. and when we feel upset, we want satiation, and we do it through food oftentimes.
Yeah. But coming back to that, you said when we're in a class, so it could be any class, it could be driver's ed, it could be
any class,
it could be a church,
sure,
any group of people. When we're in a group of people, we can take on other people's problems that are thought forms into our aura
very easily.
Why is that? It doesn't feel that like that would be beneficial for our evolution, or is it?
Well, it's fine if you're the teacher or healer trying to help with the individual, because it's like sometimes with people, I'll be working with them one-on-one, and I'll feel what's going on. It means I am at their frequency with that. Well, I can sit there and I know that, and I know what to do with it, and I know it's not my own body's, and I tell my body that, and so it looks at the super subtle frequencies and goes, okay, that's not mine. Well, most can't do that. And so we sit there in the energy field, and like energy comes together. So how many different types of frustration are there? But they're all the same energy of frustration. But there may be 100,000 different types of frustration. It's still frustration. So then in a situation like that, you can very easily take on a person's frustration. Because maybe you're frustrated with something totally different, but it's a frequency of frustration. Well, there's thought forms with it. There's predatory energy and demons of frustration. And depending on what your frustration is and this other person's frustration, the closer they are together, the more likely and the more quickly you can absorb this other person's information. When you get to someone and you're talking with them and you have all the same things happen in your life. What do they call that? Commiserating. Well, literally, you're balancing your energies the same with each other, and you can exchange energy, and pretty soon you know what each other are talking about. It's all the aura field.
My teacher, Tad James of No Relation, he would say that he does not think that support groups are beneficial because you're getting for example, anger management. You're getting a bunch of people that are angry to get together and hang out, and they become better at anger. They
do
because they're talking about their anger, they're feeding off it. They're not actually learning how to heal it, resolve it. They might learn strategies.
Well, that's the benefit of them.
That's the benefit of it.
Right.
But when you get a bunch of angry people together,
it can go south.
Same problems.
Yes.
He says that it's.
You can learn coping mechanisms as well as learning new mechanisms for anger. The information isn't specific. When you're picking up intuition, it's not going, well, I want to pick up this type, but not this type. No, you're picking it up through intuition. So if you're going to a group of angry people, you're picking up the other people's anger and their techniques.
So we really want to be very clear on who we hang out with.
Well, you have, depending on where you are. So like if you're just out of prison because you beat people up, a support group would be good. Maybe you got to learn that, it got them in trouble and it got them in trouble and it got them in trouble, etc. And it might be a good idea to not, I'm not the only one in the universe with this problem. And this is how they're dealing with it and they're dealing with it there. That's great. So Alcoholics Anonymous, it's great to have the groups. People just exploring feelings. Men never explore their feelings. So sometimes a man's group will help them, teach them words, language for exploring their feelings. But when you start getting into the detail, the subtle energies within those groups, the subtle energies within those groups, that's when you start developing the problems. So as a group develops and gets to know each other better, the more dangerous it becomes. I like AAs. I don't need to go to AA, but I like AAs. You don't use your full name, and they don't know each other. And the person who developed that was very intelligent, because the more you know each other, the more you converse with each other between meetings, which they do not encourage that at all. The more you do it, the more you're going to commiserate. And the more that energy is going to circulate around, and it's going to keep people stuck. This is why AA, I don't know if they did it on purpose, intentionally, or they developed it out of intuition. But that not sharing your name and not being with each other between meetings, not being buddies with anybody.
Well, they could easily go to the bar together.
Exactly.
Right. Pull each other down.
Right.
So we want to be with people that are a little bit more evolved, hopefully.
You like energy comes together. Right. So if you're, people who don't have any interest in the spiritual world, they have no frequency for it, no ability to pick up on it.
They probably aren't listening at this point.
They aren't listening. They're shut down. Right. And you can feel that, and you kind of go, okay, I don't want to hang out with you then. But they also don't want to hang out with you because you're so opposite of energies. But it's a sword, a double-edged sword, this thing is, because it stops and it enhances. But if you know it's there, and you can use it, the homeostatic level, the various levels of the aura field, and they reflect everything that's going on, and the more fine-tuned you get to your own feeling, the more your own aura field, the more you can help yourself.
So you've painted the picture of the homeostatic field, and you've talked about the other
electromagnetic field, one of them.
Magnetic. Can you tell us about all the layers of the aura and what they're for?
Well, different people call them different things. So let's get that out of the way right now. Semantics, it's all over the board. So there's another layer that I've been given the word biophoton layer. Other people use that one too.
And when you say given, just to clarify, for those who haven't listened to all the other episodes with us, which they should because they're fascinating, you, since birth, have been able to talk to
the angels and guides. Right.
And they
give me the words.
They give you the words and talk to you. And
right. And then I love it when I see it out there. Because they give me universal knowledge, so I should run into the same words out there.
Yeah. Well, funny side story that you told me that I think is hilarious. The your guides gave you a book to buy. They told you what it looked like and what the name of it was and everything. Yeah. And you couldn't find it for what was it, 5
years?
5 years?
Yeah.
And then you finally found it, and it's because it hadn't been published yet.
Right.
And you were like, okay, guys.
Come on.
Listen, there's something called timing. I know you're the angels and guides are on a different plane. Time is irrelevant for us.
5 years of looking for a book.
Looking for a book that hadn't been published yet.
Yeah. It was it was being developed and written, and they wanted me to have it. But so they were looking at the future.
Yeah.
And it's there because someone was writing it, and it was going to be done one day. And it was the book Animal Spirit Guides by Stephen Farmer, I believe it is. Yeah. Anyway, and it was he was developing the book.
That's funny. So they gave you the name biophoton, which is a layer of the aura. What is it?
The biophoton affects. It's the reason that word was chosen and has been chosen by other people as well, or other guides, because that's what they've got. It's very specifically the energy that is being radiated from the nucleus of every cell. It's what gives your body heat. Your cells producing energy with using the different protein molecules, the those amino acids, and for example, the L-theanine, I think it is, I may have that wrong, attaches to the end of the double helix when it's ready to divide, and it literally plugs in like a receptacle, like you're plugging something into the wall receptacle, and it feeds the double helix, and it starts to spin at the speed of light, creating heat. And the biophoton, we can see that and see what is developing specifically and how the cells are dividing, what genes are being activated, what's not. And you can bring the body back to the information of something being new, like you're a newborn.
Like the blueprints of perfect health and healing.
Right. And so you take the biophoton field, and you'll see it's electromagnetic. You see little subtlety, like little switches. The biophoton field is more like I see it as more like a cloud, but not negative, not something bad. And it's telling me the health of the reproduction of every cell and every gene that's being activated and isn't. So there's a lot of information there, and healers can be used to modify that, to bring it back to innocence. Now, the body isn't innocent anymore because it's not a newborn. So the body has this frequency. You adjust the biophoton to bring it back to the innocent level, and the body starts going, oh, I need to go that direction. So this is one of the ways you can get the body to heal itself, is by you not only go in and do whatever the guides are saying on the very subtle levels and major levels, but at the end of the session, we take the biophoton field and restore it to innocence. And you'll see me at the end of a session. I stand behind you, or above you're laying down. I stand above your head, and I literally just take this energy and wipe that biophoton field to make it innocent again. So then any healing that is in there will remain longer, because the healing is also innocent, like the biophoton field. So if you want something like if a person has cancer, sometimes it heals overnight, spontaneous healing with the work we do.
Like with your brother.
Like with my brother and a number of other people that have been through. But sometimes it's a progression. And and that biophoton field has got to remain separate in a healthy form rather than adopting the frequencies of the cancer. So you want to keep that biophoton field innocent so that the body starts going, oh, this cancer cell doesn't belong. It starts to recognize that doesn't belong. And then the body will attack it and get rid of it. And that's ultimately how you have to cure cancer. And if the body just won't do it, it's because it's their time to go. You hate to, it's just obvious. And because if it's your time to check out, if you get cancer and you're going to check out that way, I don't recommend it. But if you're going to check out that way, guides aren't going to change it. They're not going to allow it because that's how you're supposed to die. We look at that as humans, the animal part of us looks at that as panicked, and the aura field will change from that. And that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because it puts all that negative energy, and you'll never, if you learn the lesson from the cancer, it won't change because you've got panic in it. So you don't own your cancer.
Just
Things
to
like
clarify, if someone has, it's their life's path and they chose before they came here, that this is what they want, this is how they want to go. They want to go from cancer. There's nothing we can do. That's how they've decided they want to go on a
in the end result.
Right. But if someone has cancer and they didn't choose that that's how they go, so they have cancer and they could live another 50 years, but they got to get rid of the cancer.
Right.
You're saying that if there's panic in the aura, because the animal part of our body's freaking out, worried about death and resisting and panicking about it, then even if they gain all the positive learnings and do the emotional healing work, that healing won't take place.
It won't take
body
correct
because the panic in the aura is still present.
Right. So that's why we have to sometimes in the work we do, we give people homework, we give people suggestions on how to get the deep subconscious to not panic.
When you say we, you're talking you and your guides.
And you guides. Whenever I use the word we, I'm not deferring from me. I'm including me.
Okay.
And because a lot of times people will use we and it's a mental illness. But
no, I didn't.
I'm using it as literally a we. Got myself and the guides. Yeah. And so because as a therapist, I know that can be a dissociative disorder.
Right.
So this isn't that.
Or like we as in you and the person you're healing. I was just clarifying. Or we as in all healers.
No, me and the guides. Me and the guides and angels.
And the angels.
Right. And so their job, if there's time, because if they have some person who has cancer and they're not able to get rid of it and they're not really generally have to die from it, there's still the backlog of past life and learning that's preventing them currently from being able to not own that cancer, from being able to get rid of it. And it's all subconscious. And so one of the things that science has finally discovered is things like mushrooms and LSD and even MDF, whatever they call it. It's ecstasy. They're hallucinogens. And in therapeutic amounts, it can open up that subconscious mind.
With a doctor, with a therapist.
With a doctor and a therapist. Definitely.
This is not.
You don't go and do it on your own.
No, there are therapies in which, with a therapist, they give them a therapeutic dose of LSD or mushrooms or ecstasy.
Right.
But it's a different dose than someone.
Oh, you don't get high from it.
No, it's a very minimal.
Very minimal dose.
But it opens up the brain.
It opens up the subconscious mind to subtleties that they're so distant and foreign to you that you can't go there. It just won't allow you to go there on a personal talk therapy situation and typical healing session. So this is where guides will go in and go into those levels and go, okay, they'll go into those levels, and they'll go into the biophoton, electromagnetic, and go into what's affecting the DNA subconsciously that's so far back that you can't get to it. And it brings that forward, and then all of a sudden, physical changes take place. So with, I'll use me as an example. I did the therapy, and the first time I did it, I saw myself canned in a jar. And I was a kid. It was when my brother died. It's in my book. And and I took everything prior to my brother dying, including my memories, and I canned them. I had no idea. But it was a coping mechanism my subconscious mind did, so that I could be in the moment when my brother died, instead of in the tragedy of losing this whole life. Mm-hmm. And so it blocked out all the joy we had, all the interaction in the family, so that I could be in the here and now, and my brain could heal itself from this major tragedy. Well, here I'm 58 years old, almost, and I'm going, I still don't have my childhood memories, and I don't know why. And I have had many therapists work with me. I've had many healers work with me, and it just, my system wasn't going to go there because it was content with it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like scar tissue. Your body doesn't recognize it anymore. It's content with it. So it's not up to be healed. But I still didn't have the memories. So this came up, and I took this out, and we did EMDR and lifespan integration, etc. with it, and did the other energetic work with it as well. And literally, all my childhood memories are back. Every single one of them. But the system had taken it, the aura field had taken it and went, that's okay right there. I don't have to deal with that.
In a jar.
In a jar, on a shelf. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me with my mom's death. There's like a huge chunk of my life missing.
Right.
And over time, and also it was too painful to go back and think about her like before she died for a while, for a good while. I've done a lot of emotional work.
Sure.
And but like I had a friend from childhood ask me, do you remember such and such? And I'm like, that entire part of my life is blank, because my brain was like, this is too painful, putting it away, for later. Right. But yeah, so you did this therapeutic mushrooms basically with a doctor.
Yes.
And you don't get high from it, but it opens up the brain and the unconscious and lets you work on things and heal things.
Right. That we haven't been able to get to because the body was content with it.
And how does that, so when the brain suppresses memories, how is that related to the aura field?
It's suppressing the aura field.
Oh, so you could see it in your aura field, or other people
could see it.
Could see it.
I could look at it. I couldn't get the knowledge from it. I knew it was there because of the work I do and that type of thing. And I talked about it. I processed my brother's death. I've, etc. And it just, the body just, nope, it's there. We don't have to go there, because it was a defense mechanism.
So when you look at someone's aura field, can you see trauma, emotional trauma from the past?
If we turn that on, yeah, we have to turn on the layers. And so it depends on where the guides lead me. Sometimes they will lead me to that level in session. Sometimes they don't. It depends, they have to do the combination that's going to unlock the person. And that's not necessary to open it up and have them become aware, enlightened, conscious. It's not necessary to open that up.
So when we heal, when we clear the biophoton field within our aura, is that, you're saying that is the level at which can hold on to disease?
Yes,
the whole aura.
The whole aura can hold on to disease. Okay. Each layer, you might call it. I don't, for the sake of discussion, we call them layers. They're all intermingled. But but it's like the way an aura field works is kind of like if you had a room full of balls, basketballs. They're all touching, but they're not combining. So one basketball's yellow, one basketball's red, one basketball's green, one's bright green, they don't combine. They can all exist in the same space without combining. Mm-hmm. So when people say the aura is this specific color or a chakra is this specific color, well, they're seeing all the red basketballs. They're not seeing the green ones in it or the yellow ones in it. And our aura field is dynamic. There is no specific color to a specific anything. It depends on what is going on with it at that moment. If you're angry and your liver's fired up because you're angry from something from a long time ago at the current moment, that's going to have red basketballs versus green ones, if you want to say it. But they're all there, but they do not combine. So it's like when we go with the biophoton, we're taking out the I'm trying to think of an analogy that would work for that. We're taking out the stench. That's kind of the word I get. So, like if it's red basketballs, they're gonna be angry, frustrated, this, that, and the other. We all got red basketballs, but they don't have to be active. And so we wipe out the stench, you may say. So they all become the same smelling, and everything starts working together again. They all become the same frequency. Mm-hmm. But they're all still red basketballs and green basketballs and yellow basketballs. When the red ones are standing out, a healer goes, oh, this person has anger, or this person has a possession in this part of the aura field. Because you're looking at what it's doing, what it's reflecting, how it's being affected by the energy. And so when I go through, and at the end of a session, we go through and we clear that biophoton, it brings it up to date to what's just been done in the body and in the aura field. It brings it all up to date, and the healing will continue far longer after they leave the space. So that particular dynamic of the aura field. Now, the aura field also goes inward. You hear about the inner chakras. Well,
I thought chakras were in the body anyway.
No.
They're in and out. They go through the whole body.
They go through the whole body, but the inward chakras are part of the energy of the body, the physical energy of the body, mm-hmm. and when they join with the soul's physical energy. And within that dynamic, they're separate from your body. Mm-hmm. You know, the aura can reach out for miles and miles and miles, depending on what needs to be done. And the like if you're a scout out looking for an enemy, it's going to reach out for 30 miles and have you know, well, I need to head that direction. Where if you're, in a supermarket, it doesn't need to go out that far.
I'm looking for the pickles.
Yes. It's not this aisle. It's over here. So it's dynamic. It's giving you information. And the clearer that is, the more accurate it's going to be. But the inner chakra is the exact same thing, except it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So you think about the analogy of, they show on the Facebook, you get these things, and it shows a cell on the earth, and they start expanding that.
Oh, the video
into the full universe,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same thing goes inward, and and it's so you've got to get to biophoton on the inward side as well, not just what's out here. You got. It's like you have a horizon line in the middle of your aura field, what is inward and what is outward. And they're both equally important. And this is a part of healing that I haven't heard anybody do at this point, where they're actually balancing both sides of this horizon line, you might call it.
So the aura inside our body
is the same
versus outside.
Is the same as the outside. But it's going inward.
Into each cell.
Into each cell.
It.
This is a hard concept for humans and science to really understand, because we think of things physically. The aura field exists in what science would call the non-physical space. It's not. It's very physical. But we think of things when they get smaller as contracting and actually being smaller. They're not. It's just to the human way of thinking, it's getting smaller. Mm-hmm. And it's just as big as the universe. And if you don't work with both sides of that at some point, the healings aren't going to hold. If they had the possibility of holding, they will not hold, because you got one portion that's one frequency now that's really healthy, and the inward portion that's not. And so you have to balance the biophoton, for example, on both sides of that middle point where we exist. Otherwise, it's not going to hold. So it won't be as effective in changing the cells of the physical body.
How do we do that? How do we make sure that our outward and inward auras are balanced?
Well, part of my process with talking to the public is to put it out there, because people have different points of view. And if they know, like with Reiki, if you know there's something there, you can affect it with intention. You can affect it with knowledge as well. And if people all of a sudden start looking at that inner part, you're going to get a million people's different ideas on how to approach that. And then you're going to get a better healing process throughout the planet. So I have one person's aspect of healing.
Right.
I love other people's aspect of healing because it's so interesting from their point of view of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get a body of information. The body of information so far has been on the aura field that we look outward at. So far, there's not a lot of body of information from the aura field of what is inward. And I mention it to people from time to time so they can have it in their head so that they can start getting information from that. I don't know how to teach that.
Yet. But you do teach.
But just putting it out there is teaching.
Sure. And you mentor people one-on-one who are healers.
Who are healers, and I can teach them when their sight opens up at that level how to use that, and then they will use that through their expression, mm-hmm. which is different than mine, and then knowledge continues to open up about it. Mm-hmm. And it's fantastic to watch something like that develop. And because that's what we're supposed to do as humans, mm-hmm. is to pull in all these different aspects and then find out the whole. And that's what, like I say, that's what I hope to be doing by some of these interviews and talks I do. And I'm going to die. This body is going to die. Eventually. Well, maybe not, I mean, to me, it's great, whatever happens. But it's like, it's going to do that. And I'd like to come back to a better place. So there's a little bit of ego in that for me. If I keep putting it out there, people are going to go, oh, and they're going to mix in their perspective, and it's going to bring up this massive knowledge of information by all these people's perspective. So yeah, it's a challenge to people. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the inner auras, and the inner auras of the chakras, and the inner auras of every cell, and the inner auras of every atom, and see what can be done with that. Now, things that affect all the way around are sound. Sound affects the inner and outer auras. And there's some really dynamic people that do a lot of sound therapy. And it's, if you can find the tune for that person, it really harmonizes both sides of that horizon line, which we call the body, the inner and the outer. And it's fascinating to watch. Energetic. I was just talking with a guy a couple days ago, and he does sound therapy, and it's a gift. I mean, the guy was a totally, I guess, a left brain scientific mind, and he got told by a NASA engineer that he was gifted, and he knew how to pull sounds together to make music that were extremely harmonizing and healing. And it's fascinating to talk to the guy.
Does he sell his music?
He does. I might give him your name and stuff so that you can interview him.
Yeah.
And he's in California. And and I'm totally drawing a blank on his name right now because I'd like to give him a little boost. But it was just fat. We just had a couple hour conversation, and we talked. I'm going to check to see if we can work with each other and things like that. But it's the sound therapy can help get into those little packages up on the wall that the body has said, okay, that's fine up on the wall. We'll just leave it there. But it can help bring that out into the light of day so you can deal with it. And it needs to be in a professional way, because if something comes out and you're processing it on your own and you have no idea how to do that, it goes right back on the wall. So you need to have someone help you walk through it that's trained at some level to do that. So anyway, these levels of the aura field are definitely reflecting the root base causes of the end results of illness we have. Like a sore arm is an end result of all these other things. And and depending on the sight, sound ability, gift ability of the practitioner is how far back you get. And like I say, everything affects the aura field. So as we get into what would be the aspects of the aura field that affect us every single day, that we all use every single day. If you bring let's say a person is allergic to corn. If you bring corn close to the aura field, it's going to react. Or if you pull in the idea of corn, it's going to react. And this is where dowsing can test strength testing. Can test if you're weak or strong with corn. It's affecting the aura field. The aura of the corn is affecting your aura field, and if you're allergic to it, it makes you physically weak.
So I was in Janelle, I think it's called Janelle's Gluten-Free Market in Woodinville. Sure. And we were grabbing something because our whole family is gluten-free, but we don't eat processed food that often. And but we were getting something for our son that we couldn't find anywhere else because they have vegan bread there, and he has an egg and dairy allergy, and so they have like gluten-free vegan bread, which is hard to find. And this one woman was saying that she was allergic to XYZ, and there's all these breads, and she didn't know which one would be good for her. And I asked her, have you ever done muscle testing? And she looked at me like I had two heads. Right. But she was open to it. Sure. And I said, okay, well, and of course the clerk behind he gave me a look. He was afraid that I was about to grow two heads. Yeah. So she put
big worm comes out of your stomach.
Exactly. He was looking at me like very afraid. And I said, okay, well, just she put down her baskets, and I said, okay. I showed her. I said, put your arm out beside you, and I pushed on it just to show her. Just this is how much pressure I'm going to push. And I said, think of something you hate, and I pushed down, and her arm becomes weak. Right. And I said, think about something you love. Pushed on her arm, and it becomes strong. I said, okay. Now, close your eyes, and I handed her one of the loaves of bread so she couldn't be biased. She didn't know which one I handed her. Right. And I pushed on her arm, and then we did it with the other one. I think we might have tested 3, but she was amazed at the one that her arm went weak. And she was just holding her arm. She wasn't, and all of a sudden she couldn't even hold her arm up anymore as I was putting very little pressure on. And that's muscle testing. So, it's there's always the concern that there's bias, because I could be pushing 5 pounds of weight with one and 10 pounds of weight with the other, right? Because I have unconscious bias towards which brand is better. Right.
That's why you can't sell a product and use muscle testing, because you're biased. Because
you're biased, right? Because you're going to believe and you might push more. But if there was some way to do muscle testing where either person didn't know what it was,
that's why. Exactly.
Right.
That's why muscle testing, it affects the aura field so much. It is unbelievable. And this is where we get...
You mean the aura affects muscle testing?
The aura affects muscle testing, and the products that you're testing for, or the ideas you're testing for, affect the aura, which gives you the strength or the weakness. Well, let's apply that a little farther with the aura field. If a loaf of bread, you can test a loaf of bread, and this is why I'm going to digress for a moment. This is the very reason why I do whole food plant-based.
So just for those who don't know what that is,
right?
You eat a whole food plant-based diet, meaning not only are you vegan, but you choose to not eat processed foods. Because there's lots of vegans out there that eat Beyond Burger.
Oh, yeah. That's like, wow.
Plant-based whole food meaning food in its whole form, not processed. And plant-based meaning not from animals.
Not from animals.
So I've had a lot of interviews about whole food plant-based. That's how I eat, and my husband eats, and we do our best. Occasionally we have something out of a can or whatever. I mean, there's going to be some processed foods,
but overall,
the more whole food, meaning the more non-adulterated.
You're not sucking a nutrient out of something,
right?
So like olive oil is great for you in olives.
Yeah, eat the
whole food.
Freaking olive.
Right.
Don't squeeze the oil out of it.
Right.
Because you're removing the fiber. Anytime you remove fiber.
But it's not only that, your body doesn't know what to do with oil versus the oil in the olive with the whole ingredient. Your body can digest an entire olive. The oil is water soluble. You pull the olive oil out of it. It is no longer water soluble, and your body has no idea what to do with it. And we need the EFAs and the DHAs and all that other stuff from the olive oil, the omegas, but those are chemicals. They're not oil. And you can get them other ways by eating the whole olive. one of the ways.
So but, one of the reasons why you choose to eat whole food plant-based.
Right. It's because of the aura field. So if you sit here and you say, the vitamin C is only going to work for me if I take it in pill form, and you test it, you're going to be weak with the vitamin C that comes from an orange, but you'll be strong with it that comes from a pill. Because of your belief system.
Your belief system affects your aura?
Correct. This is why reductionism is a vicious cycle. If you say you need magnesium for something, which we do, but if you believe that you have to take it in a pill form, when you eat the mushroom, which is the highest vegetable in magnesium, your body won't use it. It'll only use the magnesium in that some of the magnesium that you take in a capsule form. But the mushroom form is 1,000 times better than the capsule form. In other words, we literally change according to our thought process. Our aura field changes. Reductionism, which is pulling, it's taking a product and taking a specific thing out of it and saying, this is what's good for you in that, instead of eating the entire product. So if you need vitamin C, if you eat an apple to get your vitamin C, well, scientifically, the apple has 50 milligrams of vitamin C in it. But if you eat the whole apple, because all the dynamic is in that apple for making vitamin C, when you eat the whole apple, you'll have a 1,500 milligram raise in vitamin C in your bloodstream, not 50. Where science can only see 50 milligrams of it. Because your body uses it, the aura field uses all the information in the apple to produce what your body needs. Dr. Yo something or other got a Pulitzer Prize for this study over 20 years, over 300,000 people watching what whole food versus broken down food does in your body. And your whole aura field changes. When you put a vitamin C pill in you, your aura field doesn't know what to do with it. Where you put an apple in your aura field, your body knows what to do with it. And the whole piece of vitamin C or vitamin A or this subtle thing here, so many people are selling products to make money because if it's vitamin C in an apple is good for you, let's pull it out and give it in pill form so I can make money off of it. Because there's no money in selling apples except to farmers and middlemen. There's no money for anybody else. So you sit here and reductionism takes this object and makes it foreign to your aura field, and it has no idea what to do with it. And so your body doesn't digest it.
So 90% of the grocery store really confuses the aura field. All that
Totally. And that's why you hear people saying we need to eat seasonally, partially. We need to, because squash digests better in the fall than it does in the spring.
Right.
Because of the aura of the squash. It's ripe, it's ready, it's fresh, you go out and you pick that like your zucchini. It's so much different than something that's been sitting around for 6 months and ends up coming out in the spring. Squash in the spring is very different energetically than squash in the fall. And your body will get very different things from it because the aura field tells your body how to digest it. And things that are reduced, your aura field has no idea what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So you watch someone eat something that's inorganic, or you watch someone eat something that is reduced, and their aura field just gets confused. It has no idea. And so you get some out of it, but you don't get that feeling inside of you. That's just, I feel so good.
Like the soup I brought today?
Just like the soup you brought today.
I'll include the recipe. I made a soup right before coming here and put it in mason jars, and we've been drinking it before the interview, and it's amazing.
It is. It's absolutely...
No oil, no salt, and it's creamy, and it's rich.
And it's
so delicious.
Full of flavors.
And full of nutrients.
And all that affects your aura field. Mm-hmm. And that's a particular one, and you figured out a formula for helping to wake you up. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you wanted something this morning that would wake you up, so your aura field tuned into that. And what was in the refrigerator and in your spice cupboard and everything, and you started dumping it together, and you came up with this elixir for this interview, so we're both awake and everything for the interview. That's all aura field. It's literally telling you what to put in that.
So it's kind of, I feel like when we have that discussion of quantum physics, like it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. So our body is producing the aura, our body and our soul are producing the aura field.
Correct.
But it kind of feels like the aura field has a life of its own.
They both have dynamics of their own, but they are dependent of... when the soul's portion and the bodies come together, it creates life. It creates the dynamic of life and the flow and ebb of that. And so, and everything affects that flow. And and so that may be what you're talking about, that dynamic. It's when they're in harmony, that's when you are in best health. When you introduce something that into the system, whether it's a thought or a chemical or a reduced something, it just causes static. It sits there and your body doesn't know what to do with it. So it's like when you get and people who aren't sensitive don't know this, but when you take let's just use food. When you take food that is raised, organic, and raised by loving hands, it digests differently than organic, raised on a giant Safeway farm versus inorganic. Mm-hmm. Yes, better to have the Safeway than to have the inorganic, but you can literally feel the way it changes your mood. So if you would have taken this lovely soup you made this morning and you would have put Safeway zucchini in it,
instead of the you pick farm.
Yeah, exactly. Zucchini. It would be a different way it affected us here today. Mm-hmm. And because the aura field has to deal with that, and it changes it completely. So it changes the pheromones, it changes the alertness in the brain, it changes how you feel, your feeling of well-being throughout your body. So, I tell people, the closer to nature and the more loving anything is, the better it is for your body. But it's always best to eat the best quality you can possibly afford. And because, like I say, it's better to have Safeway organic than no.
Right.
So, anyway, the aura field is part of your defense system. We talked about your immune system, but it is when you have a foreign object in your aura field, foreign auras, foreign energy, your field, it can alert your immune system, but it can also alert you to safety. And this is why all mammals have this. Fish have a little different thing going on. They're not a mammal. And lizards and things like that. The cold-blooded animals that are heated by their environment have a different type of aura field. And they're not as attuned. So, a fish has feelings, nerve feelings. But they don't perceive things as someone's going to cut my head off if I bite that hook. So it's like their nerve feelings. If you went fishing and you took the fish out of the water, it's still breathing because it has still moisture on its gills, so it's getting oxygen, but it doesn't have the ability to have fear. So if you took you gotta get gross for a minute, but I don't know how I got on this subject, but get gross for a minute. If you sit there and you go to behead a human, you have all this dynamic in the aura field and everything that takes place, if that's going to happen, versus a fish, it's like, whack, done. There just simply isn't the perception and the ability of that aura field to pick up on this type of thing. So, it's different to kill a fish than it is to kill a human.
Or they experience it differently.
They experience it totally differently.
Their aura experiences it differently.
Right. Their aura experiences it differently. Their soul, the soul of the fish, experiences it differently. It doesn't hold resentment. It's not going to affect them in the next life. It's not going to, they're not going to be afraid of that fish hook in the next life if they come back as a fish again. It's because they never were afraid of it. There isn't that part of the aura field that brings us into memory. They don't have a brain to do that with.
We could become afraid of axes in the next life.
Right.
Because we were beheaded.
Right.
In the previous life.
Right.
So we can retain that.
We retain it very much so.
Because you mentioned that our aura field also exhibits our past life experiences?
Experiences. When you tap into the past life experiences, the aura field, let's say a person I'll use me. I'll go back to what I had. My brother died. I hung this stuff on the shelf. It was there. I pretend I died. It was still there. Okay. So the next life, I come in. That's on the shelf. I have in that life, my baby hadn't died. And so that's a foreign object to me on that shelf. I have no way of even attaching to it. But when maybe a friend's brother dies, and you start realizing your own mortality because of that, then it wakes up because the aura field has now taken on the idea of death, and it taps into past life. So how unresolved death, right? Around death, unresolved ones. Mm-hmm. And it picks up on that bottle that I had put on the shelf, and all of a sudden I lose my memory of that life, of the childhood. That's how past life can affect us. It changes the aura field, goes, oh my God, okay, let's keep that away, that'll cause harm. Memory of childhood causes harm if there's early childhood death in the family. And it'll literally shut that off in the next life. And you go to the therapist and you go, why? I don't know, nothing there, no trauma's ever happened. Well, there must have been a trauma. You show all the signs of having trauma. Well, I've never had a trauma. I've never had anyone die. I've never been abused, and whatever it was. Never had it. And the therapist thinks you're nuts because you're literally showing all the signs of the trauma. It happens with rape situations from past life. People die when they're being raped. And then in the next life, they don't have a memory of it, so the therapist will blame dad or blame a brother, where it was actually past life. But it's in the aura field that it was dad or brother in the past life, a different dad or different brother in a past life, and so it gets brought forward from the aura field as suppressed memory. But it's from different life. And there's no way to distinguish that for a typical psychologist to distinguish that. So the aura field, it picks up on those subtleties to stay safe. This is, if it picks up in my next life, I hadn't processed this life stuff with my little brother, it doesn't want to have that pain again. So the neighbor's family person dies, wakes it up with me. Don't go there. You don't want anyone to die. You start getting these unreasonable fears, we call them. Mm-hmm. So then in the work we do, we can go back to that. Why do they have these unreasonable fears? We've proven there was nothing in this life that would cause those fears. Mm-hmm. That is past life. So then you look at the aura field and you start going to the inner chakras or the outer, wherever I'm directed, to find those subtleties. And they're not from this life. They're from a different life. And then you pick those off the shelf and you look at those and you release it and you process it. And then it releases this current life from those feelings. And you've processed, you've learned from it, and it finishes that issue from past life. And in the subsequent life, after that life, you won't have problems with it because you fully were able to deal with it. If in this life you weren't able to get back to it, the following life, it'll happen too. We call this process karma. It's not right or wrong. It's what you need to learn. I hadn't learned yet. It was still on the shelf. So it would keep coming to me again and again and again in future lives until I learned what was on the shelf. And that is karma. It's the learning process. It is, people mix the idea up with sin, and they're very different. Sin means you missed the boat. You screwed up. You damaged yourself or somebody else. Karma is just learning. And it can be found in the aura field.
Very cool.
It is.
So, okay, so now we've done 3 layers, and again, not layers like a parfait, layers like a...
They're distinct layers within
like
the same... Layers like a smoothie. Distinct molecules within the same jar.
Right, yeah.
There's another layer we call the etheric layer. So far, we've been dealing with what we call the astro layers. Those are what is very connected between the soul and the body, and it's very much to do with the physical life on the planet. Etheric is the soul's portion of the aura, and that gives you a whole other set of abilities and aspects to which to draw from for healing. So like for etheric, like astral travel, people are traveling within the planet. And you can learn people can be taught to astral travel. Mm-hmm. And they can get real-time information. Mm-hmm. Well, etheric travel is when you go out into the universe. And you can travel, that part of your soul can travel light years in seconds, in milliseconds. That's what's one of the amazing dynamic things of the human soul and the aura field. It is... You can live, this is how people will eventually time travel. Will eventually hit warps. Is you don't bring your body with you. That stays behind. The body cannot withstand those forces. Mm-hmm. But the soul can. And literally you can travel completely across the universe in milliseconds. And this is one of the things that other species, you might say, are very jealous of with the human existence.
You didn't want to say the word aliens.
No, I didn't. But this is one of the things they study about humans, is how do we project that way and get real-time information. And now, there is no way to prove it except when you're traveling etherically with somebody. And then you're both seeing the same things.
Oh, sure.
And then you're saying, oh yeah, I see that rock over here, or I see this type of plant over here, or I see this type of life form over here. And you're both talking about the same thing.
We could both travel to the Mars and see the
polar ice caps.
Or the robot on Mars and read the serial number.
Yes. When you get good at it, you can get down to that detail.
Yeah, and then you could call up NASA and see if you're right.
Yeah, you can. It's if there's a way to verify it, it'd be very interesting, and that would be a way to do it.
When I was a teenager, my boyfriend Ryan, who became a really good friend, still is.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in Newmarket, and I lived in North York, and so he was about 45 minutes away from me in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I was just reading a book or something on astral travel, and I kind of I'm one of those people that reads the first chapter and thinks I can do it. Yeah, I don't need to read. I got it. Okay, I'm gonna meditate and I'm gonna do this thing.
Right.
So I did. I sat on the floor because I thought I had to have yoga position with my knees crossed, and I closed my eyes and
good luck with that.
I imagined a big vortex of light opening above me, and I went in it, and I ended up being floating right outside Ryan's window. Now, of course, I could be just totally making this up. In my head, right?
Right.
But it was really cool. So I decided, it was maybe 6 p.m. I remember it was probably November because it was already dark outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm floating outside his window. And we're teenagers, so we don't go to bed early. But it was 6 p.m. It's young. It's, not late at night.
Right.
And his lights were on in his room, and he was asleep on top of his bed. He'd taken a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And I floated inside, and I could smell. He had this big citronella plant in his room.
Ooh. And
I could smell. I like it. He liked it.
Okay.
But I could smell it. I could actually smell the citronella, and I floated right up over him and kind of checked out the scene. His lights were on. I could see everything in his room.
Right.
And then I came back to now and called him.
Uh-huh.
I came back to my body, and I called him, woke him up, and I said, "Were you just sleeping?"
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "How did you know?"
Uh-huh.
And sure enough, and so that was my verification for.
Right.
Dang, you can really astral travel, can't you?
With the aura field giving you feedback, giving your brain the feedback.
So it's not like I went anywhere. It's my aura expanded and told me.
Yeah, your physical body didn't go there.
Well, no, of course. I stayed in my bedroom. And it's not like anything left my body.
Oh, no. No, it did. Yeah.
It did?
Oh, yeah. Part of the aura field is the astral part of the aura field that has the ability to project. That does leave the body.
Just expand?
No, this is a specific narrow projection.
Okay.
And it's connected back to you because of frequency. It's like an emperor penguin baby can always find its mom, even though they all look the same. Because it's a frequency thing.
Right.
And so they call it the golden cord or this, that, the other. Well, the bottom line is the frequency. It's like, there I go. And and you are projecting part of you, and people can see a combination of your all your past lives. So when people see your astral body, they're seeing what you brought to your history to this body. This is why we reflect some of our genes from our family, but we reflect more of past life.
That's how my husband is 6'7", and his brother's 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
and every single person in the family is barely 5'10". Every person is maybe
past
10 or
life.
6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really interesting that they are, the entire family is of average height.
Right.
And there's two giants.
Yeah.
And we don't know where it came from.
Well, when I was a kid, the doctor predicted the height of each of my brothers and myself. Well, my brothers, he was right on. He said I was going to be 6'2". And I went, yes! But my darn past lives, I've never been over 5'7". So I ended up being 5'6.5". And it was and he was right on with everybody else by doing the measurement of the joints and something like that. And he was perfectly right on. But my past lives, I have so many past lives, and humans haven't been real tall throughout history. And I'm still not very tall. It's come on, let's go for 3 more inches in the next life. Maybe 4.
We got to stretch you out. We got to put on the inversion table.
But the information from past life told my body this is how tall you're supposed to be.
Interesting.
And we even look similar to we have in our past lives. That's why one of the reasons we develop according to how much our history was of past life. And so that's why oftentimes people, like myself, I'm a little chubby. I have to deal with past life when I was chubby. in order to deal with the current life, chubby. So they stop gaining weight. So you have to deal with that stuff, these subtle information that comes forward. You have to deal with that in order in the aura field to get health, optimum health in this life. And that's the inner and outer chakras. So the astral body, like I say, is a very narrow section of the current aura field, of the very narrow section of the body's aura field. It is not the soul's aura field that projects. It's the body's. The soul does the etheric. The body does the astral.
So astral is like traveling around.
It's real time.
What's inside, what's around the earth in time.
Correct. So like, my mother wanted to, I think I may have told the story before, but I'm not sure. She couldn't light her fireplace. She had a freestanding stove, and her husband was asleep at the time, didn't want to wake him up, wanted to take the chill off the house. It was wintertime. So she wanted to start this fireplace, and or this freestanding stove. So she called me up, and she goes, Eric, how do you do this? It was a really crappy stove. She's gotten rid of it since, but they had it forever. And it had to be a certain way for it to light, very specific. And I've never seen anything like it. And so I asked her to project it to see what she had done.
While on the phone
with her. So I'm standing in front of her stove in the astral body.
She can't see you.
She can't see me.
Right.
But remember, it's of the physical body, so there's texture to it. So I'm standing there in front of the stove, and I go, well, you stacked the wood this way, and you got the paper this way, and it won't do it. And I said, and the vents aren't right. So I said, turn the vent up this way, and turn the stack vent up this way, and turn the lower vents, open them this way. And I said, you need to be quiet because your husband's behind you sleeping in the chair. And she's asking, how the heck do you know that? And I go, well, I'm standing next to you. And she goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, now my mom's short. So you gotta remember, this is physicalness, right?
Right.
So I said, dumb me. I said, take your left arm, because I was next to her left side. And I said, no, lock the elbow against your body. And I said, swing your arm out. Well, she hit me in the nuts. And I go, oh, you hit my body. Nope, she's short. She hit my nuts. And I went, oh, God, stomach ache. And she goes, well, it's warm there. And I'm like going, yeah, uh-huh. And I go, that's me. Can you move your hand? She couldn't tell where it was, thank God. And because it would scar her for life. But but it was like, okay, move that arm, please. Where if it were the etheric, I wouldn't got that. Because that's purely soul.
So the astral, right. You can feel things.
You can feel things. You can smell things. You can touch things. People can see you. They can feel you. Because it is actually physical energy.
Not all people can see you, but people...
In the right light.
Really?
Anybody can see you, just like seeing your aura field. Which is a good subject segue into teaching people how to see the aura field.
We should totally do that.
We should do that.
To clarify, so the astral bodies, that what you just mentioned, the etheric soul part of our energy field, you mentioned time travel.
Yes.
Is that because with that part of your body, like you said, you could travel clear across the universe in seconds, milliseconds, but you could also time travel. Is that how we do past life regression?
Yes. Very good observation. This is the one day science is going to prove this.
And we're not time traveling like to go change the past, but
no, but you can. But, very dangerous.
Like we can't stop the Holocaust.
No, you could.
Really?
Yeah. But then you really should have the first and middle name being God. Otherwise, you're going to create karma.
Got it.
So, masters, born masters, not someone who's trying to achieve it, have the ability to change what humans call time.
So I do a technique called timeline therapy in which people, even people that don't believe in past lives, it's fun when we do it and they're like, what am I seeing?
Yeah.
They're seeing their past life.
Right.
But we go back to the root cause, the first event of their, for example, let's say they have anger to resolve, unconscious, unresolved anger from their past that is affecting them in the now. We go back to the root cause. We call it the Gestalt, meaning Gestalt in German is the chain of all of the events of anger that are unresolved. They're chained together like a Christmas tree, lights on a Christmas tree. We go back to the first one, and
you're actually not going to the first one. You're going to the first one available.
The first one that's unresolved. Actually,
it's resolved. This is where that therapy gets a little mixed up, and it's better if you use the right words. You're going back. We're all layers, so we're going back to the next one that's up, that you can see. From that statement, this is the root cause. You're actually making the statement. It's the next one you're seeing, and you got to get rid of that to get to the next one. And you got to get rid of that to get the next one. You get improvement each time. So it's very legitimate work. But you're going back to the next one that's available. And you don't see any of the others. So energetically, you think that's the one and only. It's not.
And it likes to do that. The unconscious likes to do that. And
right.
There's a way to guide the person. Because
it helps to guide.
By saying, first event when I was 5. Okay.
Right, but you can guide the person to what is up. You can't get rid of something before a person has done the homework. It will not be up for them. So a person who's angry, as in your example, maybe they've gone to therapists, maybe they've gone and they've studied it and they've looked at it. Well, then you're going to be able to get there. But someone who hasn't done it, you can make the exact same statement and you're not going to get there because they haven't done the homework. So, otherwise, it would cause karma.
So the one that's ready to come up.
One that's ready to come up, yep.
We call the first event.
Yes.
The first event that's ready to come up.
Yes.
Okay.
And hopefully it's the root one because they've done their work.
Yeah.
And it can be.
Test.
Right.
We do more work if there's issues.
Right.
But we get to the one that's the oldest one.
That you can reach.
That we can find. And when we get to that oldest one, it could be 5 lifetimes ago. It can also be passed down genealogically, so generations ago.
Definitely.
And so with 5 lifetimes ago, for example, and these oftentimes are people that don't believe in past lives, and so I just say, let's go with it. It's the unconscious mind presenting what it presents, but they gain the positive learnings and are able to release the negative emotions,
right,
and then come back to now while releasing the negative emotions and gaining the positive learnings and getting that new perspective,
right,
all the way back to now. And then we work on like something that's in this lifetime. Let's say something, maybe a divorce, and they're still very angry and they feel betrayed or whatever for something that happened 15 years ago.
Right.
And every time they think about that time in their life, that's all that's there for them. We go back, we do timeline therapy on that event. So it's gaining a new perspective and getting the positive learnings. All of a sudden, when the anger is resolved, it is as if we did time travel for that person, because now their perspective has changed so much that the memory has changed, that they now see things they don't remember were even there, because it was clouded. And so it's kind of like time travel in a sense, because you can have a totally different relationship with your past when you resolve things from it.
Well, it is. The reason I said something a few minutes ago was because if this is a new age peeve with me. We'll make statements that give the new age a bad rap. So by saying going to the root only and where it's actually the next thing makes the person, okay, they feel better for a while, and then it shows up again. And they, it didn't work, or it did work. But the words were used that made them think, they were at the root, it came back. So either the person was no good, or the New Age system didn't work, or it makes them doubt themselves and feel unworthy. Where if you just simply negates all the work, exactly. Where if you say, okay, we're going to the next thing that's up. If you've done all your homework, this is the last thing on that. Or if it hasn't, if there's the oldest event
that the body
that the homework is allowing.
Okay.
Then it doesn't give the New Age a bad reputation or the practitioner. And that's where I find semantics are so important, to not make these blank across statements.
We do mass generalizations. That's what we do.
Oh, we do.
Right.
And it totally gives, it does it with religion too. We make these things, we make this up as we go, instead of going, okay, well, if you're a healer in some way, and you keep coming up against the same thing with the same person, and you keep making these mass statements, you've lost this person from spirituality. Where don't make the mass statements. Let's say we are the class.
Well, it's because we're meaning-making machines. We go, oh, this means that.
Right, we're trying to be important. Instead of just like, well, this is the last thing we're going to reach for this onion skin.
Right.
Then this onion skin, but there's still onion skins underneath that.
Yeah.
So it's like when they make, I want to clear my karma from other people for all time, for past and future. But they just make these mass statements about getting down into clearing all the negativity for all times, for all being, for everything else. That is a complete ego statement of ignorance. And it gives the New Age a terrible reputation. We can't get away from the fact we're human. We have onion skins. We have them coming up from past life. We got them coming at us from thousands of years of not doing our energetic work. And to make these mass statements just gives bad things a bad name. And it makes me cringe, because these people have really great therapeutic abilities. And they make these statements, and it makes people shy away or think it's false. And so I work really big on semantics in the work we do here. You know, I say, okay, this is where we're going today. This is where they're bringing us. And we'll see if there's something behind that. It may not show up till next time. It may take 2 or 3 times being here to get to these things. But it's like your husband has bubbled up. We went in and we did this major work with him.
He's worked with you twice, and each time has been awesome. And now some stuff has come up. And I'm glad the first person thought it was you instead of the doctor or the psychologist or the whatever, right? It's like I could have gone to 20 healers for him before we came to you. Luckily, you're the first person on my mind, because it was like, this is exactly the kind of stuff Eric works on. Right. And you know what? His first session was great with you, but his second session was even better. It was even cooler, because you had to do the work. Like you said, you had to do the onion layers. Right. You have to get rid of the major crap first that they've already processed. Yeah. And then it leaves you. And then it starts coming in. And so then the next time we saw him, we removed some, it's more subtle but more powerful energy. And then it leaves the next layer. And then that's bubbled up for him. And see, people, you took your knowledge and he took his knowledge and project, well, maybe it was from you. Or maybe it was from so-and-so or this, that, or the other. And it wasn't. It was from his history. And it wasn't his family. I know it's not his family history, it's his. And and we'll find out what it is. I'm really excited. I can't wait. Yeah, it'll be fun to do that, because then all of a sudden it'll change. And and he hasn't had these symptoms for very long. So it'll be really cool it'll shift rather quickly. Yeah. And then once it's done, then I'll share more details. Right. Yeah. Well, you have to get Duffy's permission too. Yeah. But it's I looked at his aura field. You asked me to look to see if he needed to come in. And I was like, oh, well, that's up. Yep, he does. And we'll find out exactly what it is. And it's I tell people, the first session is a large, overall dump into the wheelbarrow of crap. The next sessions are examining why you have the wheelbarrow and you're holding on to everything. and you talked about that a lot in our first interview. Exactly. Yeah.
Only so we're doing that with them.
Nice.
So it's fun because I get to see, and they get to see the changes.
So in terms of the aura, are there any other layers of it that we haven't covered?
There's thousands of layers.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You can talk about aura fields forever. We talked about some major sections of it that need to be brought out into the light of day, and people need to start looking for that. Mm-hmm. If they start using the actual language and they're gifted, their guides will find out what it means, and it'll help them use those parts as well. And it's, I can talk, I have stories about this forever, but one of the things that's really interesting that we already talked about a little bit was the biases that we all have. So there is locally, there is a group of naturopaths that work on some very specific diseases. I'm not going to name the disease because people will figure out the place. So they do a lot of muscle testing, which is very valid if you're not biased and you're doing all of your homework. So one of the doctors, I decided to see what it was all about. This is when I first was in.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Right. So I had one of the doctors work at me at their home. And she brought some of the tools that they use for testing at the clinic. And she brought it home. And I see energy, right? So one of these is an amplifier. So when you do muscle testing, it makes it more apparent. So I'm looking at that, and she's grabbing the amplifier and starts testing me. I go, whoa, hold on. And she goes, what? I said, your amplifier has been in a room with people with all these diseases. It's on the amplifier. So it's going to show up in your testing in my aura field. And you're going to diagnose me the same way as you did all your other patients. I said, because that disease is now in my aura field. Because you've literally brought it to me. So that I'm going to test positive for these diseases when it has nothing to do with my body whatsoever. I said, every single one of these tools you use between patients needs to be put in deionized water. So it literally will release to the atmosphere the dead cells from the previous person you tested. And she looked at me. Now, she'd already done a bunch of testing on me. I said, go wash those. And she went and washed them, came back, and the testing was completely different. Aura field. If people don't acknowledge these subtleties, the testing is invalid. And this is where your own testing for yourself gets invalid too. People strength test for themselves, and I do it too. But we're already biased. We already have the energy of whatever we're testing for in our brain and in our energy field. So you're going to get a different result than if you take the same information and have someone else put it on a list that you have no idea what it is. Let's say you have a choice, you've 5 different diseases you think you might have. And you just write them down, and you tell the person to mix them up and label them 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Sixth, one of them, in any order, will be none of these. If it picks 6, see, because you don't know. You then strength test. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? And see, mine just let loose on 6. Yeah. It was none of them. I can't hold that. So it was 6. It was none of these. With the others, I'm asking if I have those diseases. So you want it strong if you do, and if you don't, it will be weak. No, I got that backwards. It'll be weak if you have it. It'll be strong if you don't have it. So when I got to none of the above, it was weak. Don't have it. And but I didn't know the order, so I'm innocent. There's no bias. If your friend does it for you. So whenever you're doing strength testing, you really should have a friend do it for you and mix up your choices. That makes it much more valid and clean it. Clean everything you can. That's one way of cleaning up your subconscious mind, is by having no attachment to the things you're testing for. That's how you clean up your brain. Clean up the bias. You have no bias to a list that you don't know the order of it. And it will give you then better information. So, and this is, again, your aura field with knowledge or biases. You remove it, the aura field is pure again and innocent, and you get more accurate information. So anyway, in this process, we have to learn to clean our aura field.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's learn how to clean our
So
aura.
this is also part of seeing auras.
Oh, I wanted to say something about that. When I was 15, I read the book, the Celestine Prophecy.
I've heard of it.
And
haven't read it.
In the book, in the book, the Celestine Prophecy, they talk about learning how to see energy. They talk about energy exchange and how when we're in flow with each other, my energy is flowing to you, your energy is flowing to me. We're a circuit.
Right.
Whereas when one of us, like let's say, couples would start getting resentful and cut themselves off from the flow, that anger, resentment cuts the flow off, and then they feel disconnected, and then that festers.
Right.
And so we have to learn to be that circuit with each other, the flowing, back and forth. And they practice with plants in the book, where they sit with plants and they practice, giving the plant their energy, the plant giving them their energy, that flow back and forth. And they talk about, like, look at it, when there's a blue sky, and when the sun is, either early in the morning or late in the evening, so that the sun's not right on your face. But put your hands up, and you can start to see. You can actually see the energy field between your fingers. If you take your thumb and finger and pinch them together, and then pull them apart. And you can start to see
or feel it too.
Yeah, feel. That's
right.
The next
you can build
step,
it up, right?
But you can start to see the energy coming off your body, like heat, almost like heat, the layer of heat off of the pavement. And and so when I was 15,
that's a hard one to see, though. I have an easier way.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So again, time of day is a big deal. Dusk is still light out, but no bright sun. Okay. And you need a mirror. Okay. So maybe the bathroom, if you got some light coming in from an angle, not behind you. You need light coming in from an angle, so the light will come in, reflect, bounce off your body, and reflect into the mirror. And it's subtle. So it's low light. But
so you don't have the lights on in the bathroom?
No. You just want something that's coming in through a window. And you'd move the mirror so you get an angle. It's not directly behind you, straight into the mirror. You want it at an angle, off to your left or off to your right. And then you're sitting there, and it's dim in the room. You got the light coming in. You squint your eyes. And you reduce the amount of information by squinting your eyes that the brain is taking in. Your brain takes in all sorts of information for balance and safety, etc. So it takes in that, like, say, this room is pink or this room is white, and what it's doing to the aura field and things like that. But when you squint your eyes down, you're reducing the amount of information that's coming in, and your brain has to start looking at the subtle energies. So literally, you squint your eyes like this, and you start seeing the energy around someone. And it can be all different kinds of colors. It's not just a little wave or something. It's actually, you start seeing the colors of the aura field. It takes a little practice to let your brain actually acknowledge this thing that it's feeling. Because what you're doing is you're reducing the light and the sound input. So your digestive brain starts feeding your main brain. And then that's when you start seeing all those little colors of the aura field. It took me... Well, it didn't take it. I've seen colors my whole life, but that technique took me a time or two to do it. It takes other people maybe 10 or 15 times to start seeing that. But you'll literally go in there one day, and you'll inadvertently, you go into the room and the lighting's that way, and you look in the mirror and it's just all color. You don't see you at all, your body. You see all color in there. And you're just like going, huh? And then you look at it again, and all of a sudden your eyes open. So then this brain starts to work, and you start seeing your body in the mirror again. But if you can maintain that where your digestive brain's taking in the material by squinting the eyes down, you'll start seeing those colors. And it's fascinating. People go, wow, I really see that. And I go, okay, so that's the part that astral travels. That's the part that we use to project around the planet.
So when someone's astral traveling, let's say I was sitting here on this couch, eyes closed, astral traveling, and you looked at me, you wouldn't see my aura because it's gone somewhere?
I wouldn't see that part of the aura. So I remember I said that's the part that you can astral travel with. I just wouldn't see that part. I would see other parts of it, but not that real surface part that people begin to see when they're first seeing auras. And the so it's that part of the aura is what picks up on all the things we were talking about, early warning system and things like that. That is part of the homeostasic part, and and it's the part that can project out. And but it helps if you can see it first, and then when you can see the aura, and then you start taking in information from it. You leave your eyes squinted and just listen. It's amazing what you find. You may see a mouse in the shed. You're sitting there, you're sitting there, eyes squinted, and all of a sudden you feel this. You see this. It's like, huh? Because there's so much information there. I naturally do this dance in the work I do, in and out of the body all the time, constantly. Now, as far as cleaning the aura field, that's very important, because the longer something is in the aura field, the more your frequency changes to it. We've talked about that several times in different ways. So if you have anger in your aura field, you're going to gravitate to it. And you can be, if it's there long enough, you become the angry person. But if you have anger in the aura field, and you know you have anger in the aura field from someone else or from your own day, and you don't want to own it, we do this thing, we just call it flushing. I use descriptive words in my exercise. This is rather than mystical words. Because mystical is an ego-based thing that says I can't reach it. So you have to be special to get to the mystical. No, we're all mystical. So I use the word flushing, like flushing a toilet. You push the button and out goes the poop. Well, what a better place to do that than in a shower. You're sitting there in the shower. What do you got running? You got water running down over your body, giving you the flush. And you sit there and you open up your energy field from the crown, above your head, and you let the other frequencies of the other chakras above you come through. We call that from spirit. We let that flow down through our body like we're flushing water out our feet. And out goes with it everything that is not your frequency. The anger from other people. But if you're mad about something from someone being angry from you for 2 or 3 weeks, we need to find out why. But if you're going, I was around some angry person, I'm going to flush that right out. Your defense system's there. There's no processing. You've risen to the occasion, and out goes their anger, completely out of your aura field. And you don't, because you don't own it yet.
Can you walk us through the steps?
So, okay, yeah. So I will be working with someone, and each day I do the flushing after each client. And
so you take a shower after every client?
No, you don't have to shower. It's just a good symbol for it. And when you're learning to do it, it's really nice because you got that flow, and it really helps you do it and feel it in your body. So, but I'll be sitting there, I'll be sitting or standing, and I don't want maybe I've felt their gallbladder or something during the session. And my gallbladder doesn't need to have that information. So I'll just sit there and flush, and it'll come to the gallbladder, and out it goes. Out goes their energy. You can visualize this if you want. You might want to see their energy as a different color than yours. And out goes maybe this blob of brown out your feet. And so literally, it is that simple. It is opening the intention, and the energy, you need 10,000ths of a second. It came to you in 10,000ths of a second. All you got to do is open the intention, and out it will go. And it's showing your spiritual advancement because you know to do that. And you're preserving your body. You're saying, hey, this gallbladder stuff isn't yours. So let's get rid of it. And out it goes. So I like to think of, I like physicality. And I'm a Taurus. I'm very grounded. So I like that feeling of water going down through my body. It doesn't have to be. It can be clouds. It can be stars. It can be anything. Just the effort of saying, I got stuff that's not mine in my system from this person or this situation, or it's always situational with flushing. And it's like, I don't need that. Or I just came from a movie. It was very intense. And all the information that came through that movie screen that I can see, it's like, it's like going to a Rambo movie. You come out and you're going, and it's like, great, it was great entertainment, but you don't need to go beat someone up because the Rambo movie got you all keyed up. Well, this is a way of just getting rid of that energy. You'd be surprised how fast you calm down. It's amazing.
So you open up the intention. You said the chakras above you. Can you explain?
Well, the seventh chakra is one of many that's above your head. I've been shown hundreds of chakras, but we use the main 6 in most energy work because the others follow along better. If you do something in 3, you're going to get effect of the chakras above the 7th and below the 1st. But once in a while, you need to use the information from the lesser chakras. I've seen 130 roughly. I don't remember exactly, but above and below combined together. I don't know how many there are. It depends. It's the more subtle energy centers. You could say each cell is a chakra, the nucleus of a cell. And it really is. And therefore you got billions of chakras. But the farther they get away from the first 7, because those are the ones that have the dynamic of both the spiritual and the physical. And you get away from them, you get information from them. And
it's like the higher self.
Right. And you don't want to flush someone else's energy through your energy field. You want to flush your own connection to the divine.
Oh, I get it.
So it comes through your chakras.
So
otherwise, if you just open it up, you're just opening up to anybody's energy.
Okay, so you're imagining all of your chakras above your head, all this like divine connection to higher self above your head, and you're imagining that energy from that is flushing down through your body and flushing out like a shower. You're taking like a shower in your own divine energy.
Correct.
Flushing out through and pushing out everything that's not you out of you. Taking a bath or a shower in you.
Right. Because it's not your energy.
Got it.
So if you're bringing your energy down, a massive form of it, something that's not your energy is going to be repulsed by it. And it's going to push away from it.
It's totally awesome. I just did it.
Right.
It feels really good.
It does. Tell me what you felt in your feet when you did that. Do it again.
Well, my feet are warm.
Okay, good.
But it was more like feeling an energetic shower.
Yes.
In my body.
Right, and it comes down to your feet. How do your feet feel? Think about it for a moment.
Maybe there's like a little bit of a buzzing underneath them.
Okay. And do it again. When you're doing that, what do you feel? Do you feel the water going through your feet? Do you feel it?
Oh, I feel it. Oh, yeah.
That's being grounded.
I could totally, I could
That's
feel it.
being grounded.
Yeah.
That is being grounded. This is how you ground. You literally.
I'm wearing shoes right now.
You don't have to wear shoes. You can wear them or not. You can be on the top of the Empire State Building or Lady Liberty and do it. But this is how you get your energy, your physical energy, into the planet. And the planet takes away all our pain and suffering and converts it to positive energy. or to actually negative ions, which is healthy
negative
for
ions
us.
Is good. Yeah.
Negative ions is good. It's positive energy, negative ions. But that's literally, when you do the flushing, you are literally grounding yourself. When you start feeling that movement in your feet, it's because you've come up against the earth. And so there's a little resistance. So you feel that movement, you feel that electricity, that buzzing, and you feel a weightiness. You feel kind of like, woof, but people don't know what that is.
Feeling a bit heavier. Yeah.
Right. If they feel a little heavier, that's the sign you're grounded. If you do the flushing and you don't feel that, do it again until you do feel that. You won't feel that weightiness and that buzzing if there's still stuff in here.
Got it.
So you keep doing it again. If you don't feel it, go out and ask a tree to help you. All their roots are connected into the ground. And if you stand on a root, which you will if you stand next to a tree, it's connected to that entire root system. And it will help clear that aura field.
I really felt it.
You do?
Yeah, I feel like...
Even people that are totally etheric can ground themselves with that technique. They're totally... the reason I say totally etheric is because the New Age uses that word. I'm going to explain it real quick. It means they're not in their body a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doreen Virtue, who I love, she writes all these books about angels, and that she can see them, and she can see all these entities, and she writes all these great books, and she has a huge heart. She lives in, like, I think Laguna Miguel or something like that, and she says that she had to stop driving in LA because she's so out of her body, she'd probably crash. Right? Yeah. She is so out of her body to constantly be in tune with all this energy and do this energy.
It's overwhelming.
That her husband, who's the shaman who wrote that book that you found, I believe.
Farmer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's her husband.
Okay.
Who wrote that the animal talk book.
Right. Animal spirit guides.
Animal spirit guides. Yeah. He has to drive her because she can't, because she's so etheric, she's so out there, so airy, so not grounded. But if she did this...
But it's also male.
What do you mean?
The male animal throughout history has been forced to be grounded so they can feel the lion or the enemy. So even if they're an Aries, their men are physically more grounded to the earth, where women are less grounded to the earth. So women come into the subtle energies faster, of the etheric energies faster.
Which helps us as moms to be able to be in tune with and the energy of our family.
Exactly. So that is one of the reasons, I'm saying this politically incorrect, it's not Me Too movement thing or anything else, but that's one of the reasons men drive more. It's because even if we're ungrounded, even if we're not ungrounded, even if we're all etheric and we're out in the universe thinking, still a part of us is instinctually looking for that lion. And so in that more tense driving situation, the female animal will go sooner than the male animal. The men can do it too, but and less grounded men are going to be more, they can't drive in a situation like that either.
So if you want to be able to be grounded and drive, do this exercise.
Do the exercise.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Right.
So if she did this exercise,
bingo,
would she be grounded and still be able to do the work she does?
Yes.
Very cool.
So she'd have to get used to the change, but she could actually do her work better. So because she has a place to land and be at peace.
I like it. And so I'm imagining, because I know where your intention goes, your energy flows. And I'm imagining this like column of orbs over my head. And then they all open up and just dump this like shower. And so it's kind of like filling a bucket, right? A big bucket and then emptying it. It takes like a few seconds to like, from my first intention, it took a few seconds to then start feeling it in my body. Kind of like it took a few seconds for the bucket to empty onto me. And then I could feel it going down, and then I could feel the feeling in my feet. And I felt that weight, like weighted
That weightiness, I call it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a little pulse down there.
Yeah, and it was like it wasn't continual. Nope. It was like a bucket, and then the bucket was done, and then you said do it again, and I had to do it again. So I just like kind of just imagining filling this bucket, and then the 170 chakras above my head just went and did this shower
and pushed out the energy that wasn't yours,
like a pulse or a bucket being dumped. And so I did it
and I like to do it different ways. Okay. If I'm laying there in bed, I do the real long, slow, thorough cleaning, if you will. If I'm just like, I got to clear stuff, I just go in a tenth of a second. And they're different things. And if I'm clearing casual energy from clients, it's because I don't vibrate with it at all.
Can you do this to objects or your house? Could you clean your whole house or clean your whole car of energy?
When you clean your energy field, if both people whose name's on the house, everyone whose name's on the house, both clean it, you are cleaning your house. Your house reflects your chakras. So people ask me all the time, well, can you clear my house? I said, yeah, I can. Real easy. Except you're going to pollute it again. But if we clear you, then your house clears.
Got it.
And so people are always asking for the house to clear because they want to divert from doing their own homework. It's like, no, if this is clear, this house is clear.
What comes up for me next is that as we vibrate at a higher frequency, as we are clear, we could potentially become targets for something or someone that wants to.
Very much.
It's like tall poppy syndrome, right? Like, oh, you see that bright shiny person over there? Let's go kick their dog.
Exactly.
And so in life, there are these people or these entities or whatever situation that wants to pull us down, like crab in the bucket.
Yes.
And so now I have this clean, wonderful, squeaky clean aura, and I'm about to go out there in the world where someone might be pissed off that here's this happy person, let's rain on their parade. How do we energetically protect ourselves?
Well, that is a form of protection.
So if someone like lashes out, and I know you taught us an exercise which listeners have said they absolutely love, where the chi ball, where you're just like boomeranging it back to them, so it's not staying on you.
Right.
So if you feel like icky, and energetically someone has dumped on your parade, you just do this again.
Yeah, do it again.
Okay.
But what it does for you is this. When someone with, let's say someone is going to, let's get extreme here just for the sake of discussion. Someone's going to shoot up a crowd. If they feel someone with really good, innocent energy, they might not shoot up the crowd. It's not going to force them to do it. It's going to make them hesitate. Because you got to remember, the subtle, even possessions are part of God. And their purpose is to drive you to God. Their purpose is to make you agitated so much that you search, and you ultimately have to search for God. So you have someone like me in a crowd, and you have someone or you in a crowd, and someone wants to shoot up the crowd, our energy is going to stand out a bit. And they're going to be going, oh, maybe this isn't the right crowd. It doesn't pull them to it, even if it's possessions. Because possessions' idea is to get you to God.
So so I get it now. When you said this helps protect us, it's that, because I had this idea that maybe having an innocent energy or having a higher frequency, clean energy would attract people that wanted to harm it.
No, it attracts innocence.
It's the opposite.
Right. It's like a baby. The baby's energy is clear. And we all go, oh, isn't that nice? And we don't know why. It's because they're innocent. And so when someone with lack of innocence looks at people with innocence, they're attracted to it. They don't want to kill it. And so it actually does more to protect you than it does to harm you.
Should someone do this every day when they get home, like once a day, or
definitely
through the day?
Yeah, if you're having a rough day at work, do it throughout the day. If you're having, just casual stuff, and after you give the energy back to the person, then you want to flush your energy out, because you don't need the negative connotations that came up because someone's in a bad mood from your own history. We create our own energy. And so if this person's got all negative and you start getting pissed off about it, when you go, oh, that's their stuff, you still have the hormones, you still have the reaction. You can flush that right out. So it should be done really throughout the day. That's why I use the 1/10 of a second flush and the longer ceremonial flush. One's very restorative, one's just cleaning their crap out. And my reaction to their crap. Mm-hmm. So, and that way the body stabilizes. Mm-hmm. And you just don't need them to turn your day into a bad day.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's how you stay in the moment. So do the energy exchange with the person in a bad mood, and then flush their stuff out and your reaction out to their bad mood.
And for listeners to learn about what you just said about how to do the energy exchange, they got to go back and listen to the first and second interview that we did together. I'm going to make sure that all the interviews we've done together are linked in the show notes.
Right.
So that those who haven't heard all of our episodes can do that.
That'd be
listeners
good.
Can also go to learntruehealth.com and search Eric Thorton in the search bar to find every episode that we've done together. But start at the beginning and listen to the first episode and the second episode. Those two give the understanding of this energy.
It was a big help. I worked with a lady yesterday that had listened to your show, and she went back and listened to them all, and she went and got my book, and it saved her a lot of time in session, and we got a lot deeper because had learned about things a little bit.
Nice. She's probably listening right now.
She probably is.
Hi.
Say hi. But it's like she literally saved herself pain and suffering and time and cash.
Nice.
Because we finished, instead of at 5 or 6 hours of that last session, we finished in the actual 4.
Nice.
Because she'd done a little bit of homework.
Yeah.
So anyway, do it. Get it done. Yeah. Get the flushing done. Do the energy exchange. It makes life way better. So
awesome. This has been so much fun having you here, Eric.
Well, thanks. I love doing this too.
Yeah,
they're fun.
We got a whole lineup of topics that you have come up with. So we've got a bunch more that we're going to do together. This is great. Listeners can go to ericthorton.com.
Yep. Eric with a C and no middle N on the Thornton.
Yeah. Eric Thornton? Thornton.
Right.
Like as in Thor.
Because there is a Thorn, Eric Thornton, too.
Oh.
And he gets a lot of crazy emails. I sent you the email. Yeah, I don't have it. Look at your address. Is there a middle N there? Yep. Okay, well, this guy in Alabama just got your email. And they're going, oh, no. And I go, don't worry. He thinks we're nuts. So be sure to either copy and paste it or be sure there's no middle N.
Eric Thornton.
Thornton, yep.
And, of course, the links to everything that Eric does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntruehealth.com. Mm-hmm. Eric, is there anything left unsaid covering auras? Anything? Oh, of course, I know you could go on for days about them.
I could.
In the context of this conversation, helping people to fully utilize what we taught them today, is there anything left to wrap up today's interview?
I can't think of anything specific. The reason is because with each person, I would need to talk to each person to see what is in their specific situation that's preventing them from doing this stuff.
Sure.
So that is, if a person does have a problem with it, they're unable to achieve these things, well, it's saying there's some work to be done.
Yeah. So do the exercises, and if you can, if you're getting like hitting a wall, then talk to Eric.
That's right.
And see what's going on there.
That's right.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eric. I can't wait to come back and
thanks for having me.
We'll keep doing this.
This is great. We got lists of topics forever.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Hello, true health seeker. Have you ever thought about becoming a health coach? Do you love learning about nutrition and how we can shift our lifestyle and our diet so that we can gain optimal health and happiness and longevity? Do you love helping your friends and family to solve their health problems and to figure out what they can do to eat healthier? Are you interested in becoming someone who can grow their own business, support people in their success? Do you love helping people? You might be the perfect candidate to become a health coach. I highly recommend checking out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I just spent the last year in their health coaching certification program, and it really blew me away. It was so amazing. I learned over 100 dietary theories. I learned all about nutrition, but from a standpoint of how we can help people to shift their life and shift their lifestyle to gain true holistic health. I definitely recommend you check them out. You can Google Institute for Integrative Nutrition or IIN and give them a call, or you can go to learntruehealth.com/coach and you can receive a free module of their training to check it out and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. Be sure to mention my name, Ashley James, and the Learn True Health podcast, because I made a deal with them that they will give you the best price possible. I highly recommend checking it out. It really changed my life to be in their program, and I'm such a big advocate that I wanted to spread this information. We need more health coaches. In fact, health coaching is the largest growing career right now in the health field. So many health coaches are getting in and helping people, because you can work in chiropractic offices, doctors' offices, you can work in hospitals, you can work online through Skype and help people around the world. You can become an author. You can go into the school system and help your local schools shift their programs to help children be healthier. You can go into senior centers and help them to shift their diet and lifestyle to best support them in their success and their health goals. There's so many different available options for you when you become a certified health coach. So check out IIN, check out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, mention my name, get the best deal. Give them a call and they'll give you lots of free information and help you to see if this is the right move for you. Classes are starting soon. The next round of classes are starting at the end of the month. So you're going to want to call them now and check it out. And if you know anyone in your life who would be an amazing coach, please tell them about it. Being a health coach is so rewarding and you get to help so many people. Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program.